world heals through plants, not only in towering forests, but in the herbs in our tea, the oils on our skin, the spices in our food, and the remedies passed down from our ancestors. For generations, humans have relied on medicinal and aromatic plants. Their stories are written in roots and leaves, a natural source of wisdom, sustaining communities, economies, and identities through the ages. Yet, thousands of these wild plant species are under threat, and with them, our traditions, knowledge, and ways of living are at risk. On this World Wildlife Day, we're shining a light on these botanical treasures. Join us, not just to celebrate, but also to learn more about medicinal and aromatic plants and how we can support their conservation, so they may continue to flourish in the wild and nourish our health, heritage, and livelihoods.
Excellencies, distinguished colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen, happy World Wildlife Day. As we gather today across countries and continents, we are reminded of our shared responsibility to conserve the natural world, its beauty, its diversity, and the essential services it provides to humanity. Millions around the globe are celebrating this day, each in their own unique way, and we are honored to mark it together with you. I am Ivonne Higuero, Secretary General of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, or CITES, and your host for this event. It is my distinct honor to welcome you to the United Nations online celebration of World Wildlife Day 2026. For the next 2 hours, we will dive into this year's theme entitled Medicinal and Aromatic Plants, Conserving Health, Heritage, and Livelihoods. This theme invites us all to explore the lesser-known world of our planet's precious botanicals that we use for fragrances, essential oils, pharmaceutical products, traditional medicine, food, ceremonial tradition, and much more. From chamomile and candelilla to Jatamansi and African cherry, this group of plants is taxonomically diverse, offers a wide range of benefits to humans, and provides essential ecosystem services. To give you a brief snapshot, 1 in 5 people globally rely on wild plants, algae, and fungi for their food and income. Approximately 60,000 plant species are estimated to be used globally for medicinal and aromatic purposes, including for food, well-being, and health. Around 1,600 medicinal and aromatic plant species are covered by CITES, with nearly 800 of those recorded in international trade. And millions of people around the world base their culture and traditions on these plants. We are delighted that so many of you are joining us on YouTube and WebEx. If you are watching on YouTube and would like to access the interpretation channels in English, French, and Spanish, please register and join the WebEx webinar using the link in the description below. If you are already watching on WebEx, you can click on the little globe icon on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen to switch between English, French, and Spanish channels. For those of you on your mobile devices, you may tap the 3 dots or more symbol to select your preferred language audio. Let us now begin the program and celebrate World Wildlife Day 2026 together. I am so honored to welcome our first speaker, Mr. Kristopher Blake, Chair of the CITES Standing Committee from the CITES Management Authority of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Dear Chair, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Secretary General. I'm delighted to be able to say a few words now that the UK has recently taken on the role of Chair of the CITES Standing Committee, as you say. I'm being followed by a very distinguished set of speakers and an excellent program, so I'll keep my remarks quite brief. When I was preparing for this, I was casting my mind back and remembering an essay I wrote back during my undergraduate degree on the concept of plant blindness and how plants deserve more attention than they often get. And so it's great to see medicinal and aromatic plants getting their time in the sun as the focus of this year's World Wildlife Day. Medicinal and aromatic plants, and fungi too, are right at the intersection between local livelihoods and the communities that they support, conservation science, human culture, environmental governance, as well of course, as species and ecosystem conservation itself. All of which require ongoing close cooperation at local, regional, and global levels between sectors and people of all backgrounds. So it's all the more important that we're gathering here today to celebrate these species together. Enhancing our understanding of medicinal and aromatic plants is fundamental to their continued conservation and sustainable utilization. Here in the UK, we have a strong tradition of research into the medicinal and aromatic plants in all their diversity, such as through programs based in botanic gardens or universities, like the Boswellia program based out of the Royal Botanic Gardens, Edinburgh, or Kew Gardens Medicinal Plant Name Service, which I encourage you all to take a look at to help you make sense of the diversity of all these species. And with that, I'll conclude, and I look forward to hearing everyone else's stories from the wonderful world of medicinal and aromatic plants. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair, for those great reflections and some memories of when you were in undergraduate school. That's wonderful. Thank you. Ahora tengo el privilegio de dar la bienvenida a un mensaje en video de Su Excelencia la señora Francisca Méndez Escobar, embajadora extraordinaria y plenipotenciaria, representante permanente de México ante las Naciones Unidas en Ginebra. Excelencia, tiene la palabra.
Estimadas y estimados colegas, es un honor participar en nombre de México en la celebración del Día Mundial de la Vida Silvestre 2026, dedicada a las plantas medicinales y aromáticas. Hoy reconocemos el valor esencial de las plantas para el bienestar humano, el equilibrio ecológico y numerosas actividades productivas. Como ustedes saben, México es uno de los países con mayor diversidad biológica del planeta y, después de China, uno de los que cuenta con el mayor número de plantas medicinales inventariadas, entre 3.000 y 4.500 especies, cerca del 15% de nuestra flora. Históricamente, el conocimiento sobre sus propiedades ha sido preservado por nuestros pueblos indígenas, cuyo legado es fundamental para la salud y la conservación de estas especies. Para muchas comunidades rurales, la recolección y el cultivo de estas plantas constituyen un medio de subsistencia esencial que les permite participar en mercados locales, nacionales e internacionales. Un ejemplo emblemático que hoy quisiera destacar es la candelilla, planta del desierto mexicano de la que se obtiene una cera única utilizada en las industrias cosméticas, alimentarias e industriales. México es el único país que la produce y exporta y su comercio internacional está regulado bajo el apéndice 2 de las CITES. A lo largo de esta cadena de valor, miles de personas, muchas de ellas provenientes de comunidades rurales, dependen de un manejo responsable de esta importante planta y de la biodiversidad de su entorno. Cada año, nuestra autoridad científica, CITES, emite opiniones técnicas y dictámenes de extracción no perjudicial que, junto con la ardua labor de las autoridades administrativas y de aplicación de la ley, aseguran que su aprovechamiento y comercio sean sustentables, legales y trazables. Esto es una muestra concreta de que conservación y desarrollo pueden avanzar de la mano. El desafío es claro: garantizar que el uso de estas valiosas plantas se realice siempre con prácticas respetuosas de la biodiversidad y que generen beneficios directos para quienes dependen de ellas en México y en el mundo. El manejo de la candelilla afianzado en las disposiciones de las CITES y las herramientas que nos provee, es una muy buena práctica que hoy México comparte con la comunidad internacional. Hoy, más que nunca, preservar las plantas medicinales y aromáticas es una decisión estratégica. Es proteger nuestra salud y nuestro patrimonio natural. Es actuar con responsabilidad para que las generaciones futuras hereden una biodiversidad viva capaz de seguir sosteniendo la vida y la dignidad de nuestros pueblos. Muchísimas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias, Excelencia, por compartir con nosotros cómo México gestiona estas preciosas e importantes plantas. It is now my great privilege to welcome Ms. Inger Andersen, Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Program, or UNEP. Madam Executive Director, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. And to everyone, can I wish you all a very, very happy World Wildlife Day. And I also want to express my appreciation, of course, to the chair of the Standing Committee, Mr. Kristopher Blake, and of course to Ambassador Méndez Escobar, and for the other speakers who will follow. I mean, let me start by saying that obviously celebrating World Wildlife Day is very, very critical. We are also celebrating CITES, the convention itself. But what we have to do is use species, but use them wisely. And this is really my primary message here, because international trade in species is helpful for sustainable development, for progress and jobs and opportunities, but cannot threaten sustainable development, which is why, of course, this treaty is so important. And this year's focus on quote unquote nature's pharmacy is so critical because, as we've heard from the previous speakers, medicinal and aromatic plants are critical, not just for our health, but also for our heritage and our very livelihoods, and for many people's their very identity. And when we look at medicinal and aromatic plants, well, then we know, and I speak to you from Kenya, Nairobi, and here we see them in use all the time. You don't need to go far to find that this is what people would offer you first as a cure for many of the general illnesses, including small pains, a cold, etc., etc. And we know that about more than 80% of the world's population will resort in the developing countries to some sort of aromatic or medicinal plants to help them through their ailments. And at the very core of that, we have the traditional knowledge systems. And that is, of course, critical. And when we look then at what the economic development that is happening, we can see that about 25% of all pharmaceutical drugs are, in fact, derived from plants. So these are very critical elements. And trade has huge repercussions and huge importance. Under this magnificent treaty, CITES, that we're celebrating today, more than 30,000 species are listed. And I guess, and Yvonne will correct me if I'm wrong, around 1,400 are listed as medicinal. And so they support our industry and the traditional uses, both for medicinal and cosmetic use. And they are really, as we strive for the bioeconomy, as Brazil has, framed it in the context of their chairing the G20, as we strive for that, these plants will form a very important role. And trade is immense across our species of 30,000 plus, but is quite concentrated because I understand that 12 CITES listed species account for about 98% of all wild-sourced exports. So we need to be very careful about habitat loss, over-harvesting, climate change, unsustainable trade, all of these things that can really pull the rug from under the feet of sustainability. I just want to highlight two aspects that we need to carry with us as we think about sustainable use, as we think about protecting these very special medicinal and aromatic plants. First, let's talk about Indigenous people and local communities. Indigenous peoples clearly often are the stewards of biodiversity. And we also see local communities similarly so at the very center of the solutions. This is often where the knowledge rests. And we just heard from Her Excellency about Euphorbia antisyphilitica, which Mexico exports, and it maybe amounts to around $15 million annually. And the production clearly is underpinning a large number of small rural households. And we understand it is very valuable per kilo, around $12. So all of that coming together means let's make sure that we don't overharvest, that we protect. And there are other examples too. I could mention the spikenard of Nepal, a very unique species that has significant value for its essential oils. And there are another 1,400 I could mention. I won't. But the point here is that who has the knowledge? Where does the resources go? How can we ensure that these resources go back to the indigenous people who are protecting them, go back to local communities and others who are protecting? And to do that, we need to secure land tenure and find ways of ensuring rights of these communities. We need to embed FPIC, free, prior, and informed consent, obviously. And we need to think about the fact that as the Biodiversity Convention enshrines, equitable and fair and equitable benefit sharing, that becomes absolutely critical. And of course, ensure that traditional knowledge is not misappropriated, but that we have a resource flow back to those very communities. The second thing that I would like to suggest that we really need to focus on is we have to coordinate to ensure that the growing threats that we are seeing, we're meeting them not piecemeal, but overarchingly. And of course, the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework helps us in this regard. But we need to ensure that the science is good and solid, including that we understand traditional knowledge and understand where we have those indigenous people with their knowledge recognized and accordingly. But we need to also think about stronger governance writ large, both on the legal as well as the social, as well as the biologically sustainable trade dimensions, with very robust monitoring and traceability. And this is, of course, what is happening to an extent under CITES and traffic and IUCN, etc. So it becomes very, very important. And we need to ensure that the markets that we do have are really very principled, with very high integrity supply chains. And this is something that we often discuss. How can you optimize the environmental return, the social return, as well as, yes, an economic return? And how do you define that? And when is that good? Because if we don't consider the true value of nature, we are pulling that rug from under our feet. And as we're seeing a surge of online trading of all kinds of things, that e-commerce with trade of all kinds of plants and other things, botanical products, we need to be very clear about how we govern that and how we have high integrity in those digital transactions. Are we sure that that is so? And are we sure that things are not traded on the web that should frankly not be traded, or maybe is currently over traded? So all of this matters. Now, today is World Wildlife Day, but we from UNEP and from CITES, of course, want to stress that every day should be World Wildlife Day. This is not a one-off day. We need to reinforce our collective responsibility for planet Earth, and we have to ensure that nature's pharmacy is protected. Once they're gone, they are gone forever, as we always say. And so these integrated partnerships, the inclusiveness of it all, and the leadership of indigenous people, that becomes a critical issue. So when we do all of that, then we will deliver on the notion and the goal of sustainable trade of medicinal and aromatic plants. And then we can truly say happy birthday and happy World Wildlife Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Madam Executive Director, for your impactful remarks about the importance of ensuring the sustainability of trade in medicinal and aromatic plants, and of course, the importance of effective implementation of CITES, and more than anything, the role of Indigenous peoples in conservation. Thank you so much. I now welcome Ms. Francine Pickup, Deputy Assistant Administrator and Deputy Director of the Bureau for Policy and Program Support of the United Nations Development Program, to share a statement via video message.
Today we celebrate World Wildlife Day. and shine a spotlight on the remarkable theme of medicinal and aromatic plants, conserving health heritage and livelihoods. Preserving these unique plants means safeguarding the traditions, the knowledge, and resources that empower communities, especially in rural areas and among young people. It opens doors for local communities, supports rural growth, and inspires the next generation to innovate. These plants hold the keys to tomorrow's markets, new innovations, and potential cures for diseases yet to be discovered. These plants are more than just elements of our natural world. By promoting responsible harvesting and cultivation, we create pathways for economic development, job creation, and improved livelihoods, particularly in underserved regions. And by conserving them, we protect both our cultural and biological legacy, ensuring that future generations inherit a world rich in opportunity and wellness. And the theme of this year's World Wildlife Day demonstrates this perfectly. Together, we can ensure that our planet's wild heritage thrives and that the seeds of hope we plant now will flourish for generations to come. Happy World Wildlife Day.
Thank you, Ms. Pickup, for bringing to us the importance of these plants for economic development, livelihoods, and the well-being of our ecosystems. And thanks once again to all high-level opening speakers for their inspiring remarks. We now turn to our first artistic segment of the event. Please welcome back Dr. Helen Anaita Wilson, composer, sound artist, and Wellcome Trust Research Fellow of King's College in London. Ms. Wilson will share her biophilic music inspired by medicinal plants, a reminder of why conserving these species is vital for our health and well-being. Dr. Wilson, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Secretary General, Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. This year's theme for World Wildlife Day is one that's very close to my heart. Respect, appreciation and gratitude for the life-changing and life-saving power of plants is vital in our discourse and our actions, and has also been a crucial development in my own life, personally, creatively and professionally. I was diagnosed with a very fast-growing form of cancer in December 2019, and I went on to receive a very challenging 15-month-long combination of treatments, from chemotherapy to surgery, radiotherapy, and immunotherapy. And this was, of course, a very frightening time for me. One way of accepting and coming to terms with my experience of cancer and cancer treatment was to learn as much as possible about my particular type of cancer and its related treatments. I learned that the chemotherapy drug that I found most difficult to cope with was in fact made from a tree that I had growing in my childhood garden, a yew tree, a Latin name Taxus baccata, something that my mother frequently used to warn me about. I mustn't touch the berries or pick them. When I learned this, I found this connection hugely reassuring, and I wondered if others might too. And so, having been a professional musician for nearly 20 years, my career took an unexpected turn when I began making music with plants, and particularly plants with anti-cancer properties. This music was created from plants used in chemotherapy treatments and was composed especially for people undergoing chemotherapy, for them to listen to whilst they're in hospital or a cancer centre or any kind of unnatural healthcare environment, as a way to connect them back to nature through sound and to reassure them of the natural derivation of some of the medications that they may be receiving. More recently, I've been composing music from a wide variety of medicinal and aromatic plants, creating commission works for healthcare and hospitality settings made entirely with plants important for human health, from traditional and pharmaceutical medicine systems. This plant-derived music that I've developed is called biophilic music, and after this short film, I'll perform a short piece I've created using therapeutic and medicinal herbs, including rosemary and fennel and lavender.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson, for that extraordinary performance and sharing your personal experience with medicinal plants. We are glad to see you well. We now move to the launch of the 2026 United Nations Endangered Species Stamps. This annual series celebrates the beauty and importance of the species listed under CITES. The first annual edition of the United Nations Endangered Species Stamps was launched in 1993 under the partnership between the CITES Secretariat and the United Nations Postal Administration. Today, we are proud to launch the 32nd edition of the stamps, which reflect this year's World Wildlife Day theme. Please join us in watching a short video prepared by the CITES Secretariat to mark the launch. Our sincere thanks to Ms. Rory Katz, the Global Head of Graphics and Communications of the United Nations Postal Administration, for coordinating the design and production of these beautiful and meaningful stamps that help raise awareness of the multitude of benefits that conservation provides to people and ecosystems. The stamps can be purchased at unstamps.org from 24 April. I'll be first in line. They are absolutely gorgeous. We now move to our next segment entitled Lightning Talks on the Trade and Conservation of Medicinal and Aromatic Plants Around the World. It is my deep pleasure to introduce our moderator for this segment, Mr. Ting Wai Kit, co-founder of the CITES Global Youth Network and Youth Executive at Mandai Nature. Hello, Mr. Ting, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much, SecGen. I can't wait to get my hands on some of the stems as well. As SecGen mentioned, I'm the co-founder of the CITES Global Youth Network, and I'm currently a youth executive at Mandai Nature. I'm excited to see so many viewers joining us online from around the globe for the 2026 World Wildlife Day celebration. I will be moderating this next segment where we will learn more about medicinal and aromatic plants. These species are the silent backbone of our healthcare, food, cosmetics, livelihoods, and cultural traditions. But as global demand rises, so does the pressure on their survival. Today, joining us, we have 4 CITES party experts. Because I have a short attention span, they will each have just 4 minutes to provide us with an overview of one specific plant species, the challenges it faces, and the work being done to conserve it and ensure that the trade is sustainable and legal. To start us off, we travel to Europe. Please welcome Dr. Engel from the Department of Botany at the University of Veterinary Medicine in Budapest to talk to us about a household staple, chamomile. Dr. Engel, please.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Good afternoon for everybody. Today I choose to talk about chamomile, which has a long-standing tradition in Hungary. I hardly need to introduce chamomile. It's a globally recognized versatile medicinal plant from the Asteraceae family. The next slide, please. Although widely known, chamomile can easily be confused with species from the Anthemis genus. It makes proper species identification and careful attention essential during harvest. Its popularity stems from its wide-ranging medicinal properties, which are linked to its high flavonoid and essential oil content. Please, the next slide. The essential oil is notable for its distinctive blue color caused by chamazonin, which is one of the most important compounds from the essential oil. Both the flowers and the essential oil are officially listed in Hungarian pharmacopoeia. Chamomile holds outstanding significance in Hungary. The next slide, please. And is often called the gold of the Great Hungarian Plain, reflecting its natural habitat in the unique saline grassland of the region. This plant can tolerate saline soils very well, thanks to this ecological strategy, such as the symbiotic relationship with the mycorrhizal fungi. In Hungary, chamomile can be harvested freely without any license from the wild population, and the increasingly cultivate to meet demand in a sustainable way. Most of the chamomile harvested in Hungary is exported. The next slide, please. Due to the outstanding quality, which is resulting from the unique ecological habitat, Hungarian chamomile was declared as a Hungaricum, included in the Hungarian Value Collection. Harvesting chamomile on the Great Plain is not just an agricultural activity, it is also a significant cultural and community event. The short flowering period creates an intense focus harvest that brings families and neighbors together, strengthening social bond and fostering the community spirit. So, in conclusion, we can say that chamomile is not only a significant economic asset and a great herb, but also a cultural treasure of Hungary. And thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Dr. Engel. It's so fascinating to hear about chamomile and, just to learn about how it is so significant in Hungary. Now we head to the northeast region of Africa. Please welcome Dr. Mario, the Associate Professor and Senior Researcher with the Ethiopian Wildlife Authority, to share more about the iconic frankincense. Dr. Mario, please.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Méndez Mario. The title of my presentation is The Fading Scent, Saving from Extinction the Frankincense Tree, Boswellia. Next. Boswellia is a deciduous oligogamy resin which belongs to the family Barseraceae, and it is a source of frankincense. And frankincense production starts at age 8 and extends to the year 60. It is endangered in East African region. Geographically, it is distributed in the drylands of Africa, Sudanian and the Sahelian region. And other species of Boswellia also live in the Arabian countries and India. But the largest proportion of this Boswellia is found in Ethiopia and Eritrea. Next. Our concern is why Boswellia papyrifera. So it is a gum or the frankincense. It is a source of the foreign currency for countries like Ethiopia who earn millions of dollars by exporting it. And at the same time, it is a rural income for many people who can earn 12 to 20 USD per kilogram, which is estimated to be about 1,000 USD per household per year. It is very important as a fodder plant, honey, flora, timber. It's useful for timber production and also in soil protection, as well as also combating climate. It is used for rituals in Ethiopian Orthodox Church during the worship. And it is estimated about 12 million kilograms of this, the frankincense, is used locally in Ethiopian church per year. In general, Boswellia papyrifera is very important in pharmaceutical industries, in production of medicines useful in preventing against inflammatory diseases as food gums, in cosmetic industries, in production of perfumery industries, in ink production, in chemical industry. Furthermore, and it has got the traditional use, for instance, treating leprosy, repelling mosquitoes, and also in Ethiopian culturally, in Ethiopian coffee ceremony, it is used also. It is used to quench thirsty, has got many uses in general. Again, it's also the lymphadenopathy, which is the inflammatory disease. Next. The current status of this plant is that the populations are dominated by aging trees. In Ethiopia and Eritrea, about 1.7 million hectares of the Boswellia woodland is there. The very difficult challenge is regeneration failure and agricultural expansion, which causes the loss of about 177,000 hectares of forest in the northern Ethiopia. Overexploitation to meet the global demand, and also over grazing by livestock. And as you can see in the left side of the stem of this tree, there is infestation by insects, which is due to overtapping of this tree, which has been aggravated by climate change. And the great challenge is regeneration failure. Next. As a solution or recommendation, it's better to conduct the assisted regeneration by fencing the woodland and conducting research to improve the survival rate of these trees. And also implement strict resting period for 5 to 10 years time, because people are continuously year to year, they are tapping it. So avoiding extensive tapping is very important. With this regard, ensuring the land ownership and also implementing the eco-certification and law enforcement against the agricultural expansion, and in some other cases also using the vegetative propagation, because it is a means also to improve the population of this plant. As an action plan, it is better to follow the church forest model of Ethiopia, meaning that in Ethiopian the churches they are automatically conserved by the community, and nobody is going to disturb such forests. And it's also better to promote sustainable harvesting mechanism. Furthermore, it's great also to have the green climate funds for such church-led conservation projects of this Boswellia. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mario, for sharing with us more about frankincense. It's really interesting to see how religion, the churches comes in when it comes to conservation efforts. Next, we journey to the Himalayas. I'm honored to introduce Ms. Dakal. She is Scientific Officer at the Department of Plant Resources of Nepal, to speak more to us about Jatamansi. Ms. Dakal, please.
Thank you, Jane. Excellencies, distinguished persons, ladies and gentlemen, namaskar and greetings from Nepal. My topic of presentation is conservation and sustainable trade of Jatamansi in Nepal. Next slide, please. Department of Plant Resource as a scientific authority play different role for the conservation of the species. Nepal harbor high-value medicinal plants and aromatic plants, including Jatamansi. Jatamansi is highly demanded perennial aromatic herb. Worldwide, very limited distribution. It is widely distributed in Nepal from east to west in 28 districts out of 77. Its total growing stock in all over Nepal is 24,188.08 metric ton. Next slide, please. Nepal has been exporting Jatamansi for a long time. CITES trade database from 1975 to 2024 shows that Jatamansi is traded in different forms. Among them, Jatamansi is mostly traded in derivative forms. 98% of the trade of Jatamansi is covered from Nepal, while only 1% from China and 1% from Bhutan. Since 2020, Nepal is exporting the Jatamansi on the basis of quota system as mentioned by NDF for Jatamansi. Next slide, please. Export of Jatamansi was banned in 1995 according to Forest Act, which was amended in 2001 and allowed the export of only the processed form. Since then, Jatamansi is exported in processed form from Nepal, that is oil and mar. Next slide, please. About 35% of Nepal's lands are covered with high mountains, which are potential sites for Jatamansi. Due to harsh climatic conditions and limited arable land, communities living in these areas rely heavily on gathering wild medicinal plants, including Jatamansi, for their income. Collecting, processing, and trading Jatamansi greatly support the livelihood of rural populations in Nepal. To support both local livelihoods and Jatamansi conservation, implementing our sustainable harvesting and fair trade system is essential. Nepal is a signatory country of CITES and implemented several specific laws and policies to facilitate the international trade of Jatamansi and to prevent overexploitations. The quota system for trade on the basis of NDF since 2020 has greatly supported for the conservation of the species. Nepal has been implementing 10-year conservation action plan for Jatamansi. Key message: sustainable trade combined with strategic cultivations and the regeneration in natural habitat is critical for supporting the livelihoods of rural households in Nepal who depend on Jatamansi, or Nadostag is Jatamansi scientific name, high-value medicinal plant. Last but not least, we would like to thank CITES Secretariat for providing opportunity to share Nepal's effort on Jatamansi conservation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dakau, for highlighting the vital link between high altitude conservation and local livelihoods. Finally, we travel to the Americas. Please welcome our final panelist, Dr. Sinnott, former Executive Director of the Forest Stewardship Council, to shed some light on the incredible Candelilla plant. Dr. Sinnott, please.
You are muted, Dr. Sinnott. Dr. Sinnott, you are muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'll start from near the beginning. Candelilla is a small shrub widespread in the Chihuahuan Desert in the north of Mexico, where I live. It was used medicinally in the past, which explains its scientific name, Euphorbia antisyphilitica. This region has a harsh climate, and the shrub has succulent stems with a wax cover and no leaves. The succulent species of Euphorbia are listed in the CITES appendices, so it's essential to ensure legal and traceable international trade. There are strict regulations for harvesting and transport, but irregularities occur, so government and non-government organizations are working on these issues at local, national, and international levels. Candelilla wax was first extracted commercially in about 1910 and soon had strong international markets. It's now widely used in many industries, including pharmaceuticals, printing, food industries, to give a shine to apples and chocolates, and especially in cosmetics for lipsticks. The plants are harvested mainly in the lands of the Ejido communities. These are semi-arid woodlands and bushlands, not closed forests. Fortunately, the harvesting practices do not put the species at risk because the smaller plants are not collected, but there is some overharvesting. The individual producers are known as candelilleros. They extract the crude wax by boiling the whole plants in large tanks of acidified water. This is hard work and dangerous. The producers and their communities, they sell it to agents of local wax refining companies. The producers and their communities are highly dependent on their income from this wax and from a few other non-timber forest products, but they are not the main beneficiaries. So a few years ago, we started collaborating for the FSC certification of some of these communities. This provides an assurance of sustainable management feeding into the supply chain. And we aim to strengthen the community organizations with a cooperative for refining and marketing the wax. This will greatly increase their benefits. We now have 3 communities certified with about 80,000 hectares. This is the first case in the world of FSC certification of areas without closed forests, producing only non-wood forest products. We aim for 10 more communities this year and still more next year. Among the benefits, It will assure the government that the laws and regulations are met. And it will help cosmetics companies and other industries to obtain this product from well-managed sources. At the moment, this is often their stated policy, but not always implemented. And we want more industries to commit themselves to responsible management of their raw materials with independent monitoring, and so to extend sustainability into the bushlands and woodlands and savannas worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sinat, for that deep dive into the desert's green gold. What a whirlwind tour of the world's botanical treasures we've had today. I'm sure many of our listeners have burning questions, so let's move to the question and answer segment. Today, we are joined by three representatives, three of my friends from the CITES Global Youth Network. Pasindu, I can see some of the gears starting to turn in your head. Do you have a question for our panelists?
Thank you so much, Vakit. My name is Pasindu Abhignardana, and I'm a field biologist and a citizen science practitioner from Sri Lanka. I mainly work on taxonomy of freshwater crabs and spiders based in Sri Lanka, and also illegal wildlife trade with a particular interest in wildlife crime linked to the internet. And actually, I'm so honored to be here representing youth from CGYN. My question is for Dr. Mayo and Ms. Dagar. In your view, how can we effectively balance the need to conserve medicinal and aromatic plants for future generations and livelihoods and the health of the planet with the economic benefits of international trade? So that's my question for Dr. Mayo and Ms. Dagar.
Sorry, can I respond, Mr. Moderator?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for this very important question. So in order to balance the conservation and economic benefit of the plant which I raised is a Boswellia. It is the aromatic plant as well as a medicinal plant. Can you hear me really, please? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So it is important to implement the strict resting period, because for Boswellia, for species Boswellia, the continuous year to year tapping causes disease, and also it causes a loss of the better seeds to germinate. So generally it is important to cause resting period for 5 to 10 years time, because it extends up until 60 years time. And the second important aspect to balance is that the adopting eco certification process. In eco certification, there is a premium price and amount is there. So with a small quantity delivered, so the supplier can get a good price. And the third important aspect is land tenure system. So once there is the land tenure ownership, so the people feel to have the sustainability of that the medicinal plant, any medicinal plant. So to ensure its sustainability, this is also very important. And also, it's very better, as I said earlier, to follow the church forest conservation model, where the community themselves conserve the church forest, and everybody is, or many people are forbidden not to destroy the church forest. Under this condition, both the economic aspect and as well as the regeneration or the sustainability of medicinal species and aromatic can be sustained. Thank you.
Thank you. May I answer the question?
Yes, please, Ms. Dakar.
Okay, thank you for the question. In my view, to effectively balance, 6 things should be done as follows. First of all, prioritization of highly demanded species in international trade for research. Then focus on research and development of cultivation technology of these species. encouraging the cultivation of these species in degraded forests as well as fallow land, implementing good agriculture and collection practice in suitable area of the species, capacity building and training to local harvesters in sustainable harvesting and management technique for the sustainable trade, and effective monitoring systems. If we can do all these things, this will certainly help to effectively balance the need to conserve medicinal and aromatic plants for future generations, livelihoods, and the health of the planet, with the economic benefit of international trade. Thank you.
Thanks so much for your responses. I see Frankie in the chat as well. Frankie, do you have a question for our panelists?
Hi, thank you, Waikit. Hello, everyone. I'm Frankie Morman. I work at the Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew, which is as part of the United Kingdom's Scientific Authority for Flora. Thanks for the opportunity to ask a question. My question is directed to Dr. Engel and Dr. Sinnott. So medicinal and aromatic plants often move through complex supply chains from wild harvesters to processors and international markets. Please could you speak to the importance of collaboration across these supply chains to ensure sustainable, legal and traceable trade? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Yes, I think it's very important because it has a lot of segment in this, from the collection until the trade of the medicinal plants. I think to make it sustainable, it's the most important, the education. I mean that I think you have to educate the harvester at first how to collect in a sustainable way. I mean to teach them the technique, to recognize the species, so they will know how to collect them in a correct way. And after the next is I think also it's very important, maybe it's from the researcher, the regular monitoring of the population of the medicinal plants. So we could have any information about its condition. So it's allowed to collect from this population, or it's better to leave it to regenerate a bit. And other things is also, I think the buyers should to commit a long-term source contract. So maybe with this, they can reduce the pressure for the short-term overexpression of these plants. And also, it's also very important the documentation. So, for example, the documentation of the export and the quality, and also I think it has to be very transparency, and the traceability is also very important, and to follow the quality of the collected plants. I think these are one of the most important things in this question.
Dr. Sinnott, do you have anything to add to that? I think you're muted.
Could you please repeat the question?
Yeah, Frankie?
Yeah, sure. So medicinal and aromatic plants often move through complex supply chains involving wild harvesters, processors, and often international markets. Please could you speak to the importance of collaboration across the supply chain to ensure sustainable, legal, and traceable trade? Thanks.
Right. Yes, understood. This is extremely important, but not only for collaboration, but also for monitoring the use of claims. You will find when there is commercial significance in claims of organic products or fair trade products or FSC certified products, these claims can be misused and used falsely. So it is essential to have a system for monitoring how they are used and for getting back to false claims. The certification bodies for organic and fair trade have systems for monitoring the chain of custody of claims that are going through the supply chain. Very, very important. Collaboration and legal supervision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sinnott. I think we're about to run out of time for the question and answer segment. So I see Margaret on the call with us as well. Margaret, I'll let you kick us off with the final question.
Thank you, Aikit. Hello, everyone. My name is Margaret Crawford. I am the focal person for the development of the CITES system for Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Authority, and I'm also currently elected regional co-lead for CITES Global Youth Network Africa. My question for the panelists is, as youth, we would like to ask you for advice on how we can bridge the gap in source countries, on how we can bridge the gap so that youth that are in source countries, like Zimbabwe, for example, are not just harvesters, but also leaders in value-added commercialization of the species.
Really interesting question. Maybe we go 1 minute per speaker on your response. Let's start with Dr. Sinnott first.
Hello?
Yep,
Yes,
Dr.
we
Mario,
can
go
hear
ahead.
you.
Okay. Thank you very much for a very nice question. I think for youth, it is better to engage in high value industries, value addition. In most cases, the medicinal plants are exported as a raw material. So for this, value addition will have a good economic value also. As a use, for use, what I suggest is that just hunting certain funds like Green Climate Fund is very important in sustaining such the medicinal and aromatic plants case that they can use this method also. Another important aspect in my case is that vegetative propagation. For instance, Boswellia papyrifera at its height of 1.5 to 2 meters, so it can easily vegetatively propagate it than the seeds also. This is also a good important method. Another important method is assisting natural regeneration of the medicinal plant is also very important in a sense that like in my case, fencing the already existing woodland of the Boswellia is also very important. Similarly, that works also for degraded forest land, and the eco-certification method is also very important to bridge the gap. And at the same time, as early it was said, it is better to respect the indigenous people and local community and learn the knowledge more from them also. Thank you very much with this regard.
Thank you, Dr. Mario. Dr. Engel, do you have anything to add on how youth can be involved?
Yes, just one very short, not to take the time. That yes, I think it would be nice to also to build like exchanging programs in the other countries, so we could share our knowledge. And also, I agree that we should the young has to listen the local people who has the traditional knowledge about collecting and preserving medicinal plants. This I just wanted to add for this topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Dakal, do you have anything to add?
Thank you for the questions. Most of the youth harvesters in source country like Nepal are often deprived, marginalized, and underprivileged. For a small amount of money, they collect the species. They don't know anything about the species. Anything means why the species is in trade, importance of conservation, national and international demand, product from the species, its national and international price. So, investing for empowering the youth of source country on value addition technique, as well as research of the species, may fill the gap in my view. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dakar. Dr. Sinat, do you have anything to add? Apologies for the technical difficulties on my end.
No, I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Lovely. Okay, so that is all the time that we have for our Q&A today. I want to extend a massive thank you to our panelists for joining us today and for the youth for asking their really thoughtful questions. I think the takeaway today is pretty clear. Whether it's frankincense from Ethiopia or Jatamansi from Nepal, the survival of these species depends on a marriage of science, enforcement, community empowerment. So, friends from around the world, stay tuned as we transition into the next segment of the World Wildlife Day celebrations. Sekjen, back to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all of the speakers for this excellent and dynamic segment. Your presentations offered a remarkable glimpse into the richness of medicinal and aromatic plants across regions, from Europe to Africa, the Himalayas, and the Americas. The diversity of species and the depth of knowledge shared today truly demonstrate how interconnected our efforts are and how essential these plants are for ecosystems, cultures, and livelihoods around the world. Thank you, of course, to our wonderful moderator, Mr. Ding, and our CITES Global Youth Network members for enriching our discussion with meaningful questions to our panelists. With that inspiring exchange, we now transition to the next high-level segment of today's celebration for our member states to make statements from the floor. It is my first honor to begin by welcoming His Excellency Dr. Linkam Duangsavan, Minister of Agriculture and Environment of the Lao People's Democratic Republic, to deliver a statement. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Excellency, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Lao PDR, I sincere thanks to CITES Secretary and the partner for convening this important global celebration. For the Lao PDR, medicinal and aromatic plants are important to our biodiversity, cultural heritage, traditional healthcare system, and rural livelihood. Across our country, ethnic community have preserved valuable knowledge on the sustainable use of the forest resource for the generation. Also, as a global biodiversity hotspot in the head of the Mekong region, Lao PDR view this year theme as the reflection of our own national identity and a part of our aspiration for the national health security. Our commitment to 70 forest cover reaffirmed by the 12-party Congress is not merely an environmental target. It is a commitment to the maintaining the sanctuaries where our medical heritage thrive. These forests are the green factories that will power our post-LDC graduation economy, support livelihood for about 66% of our population, contribute to the poverty reduction, provide carbon storage and climate regulation, and protect watershed critical for hydropower and national development. As we navigate our LDC graduation transition period from 2026 to 2029, we are prioritizing green growth by the transforming from raw material export to our producer of high value, sustainable, aromatic, and medicinal produce. We ensure that our graduation is both prosperous and permanent. Lao PDR reaffirmed its commitment to working with the international community to convert medicinal and aromatic plant, safeguarding health, heritage, and the livelihood for the present and future generation. We own for the integration, cooperation, and respect, access, and benefit sharing, ensuring that the guardian of this plan, our rural and ethnic community, are the primary beneficiary of their conversation. Thank you. Conservation.
Thank you so much, Excellency, for sharing with us how you manage these important resources for the benefit of the livelihoods of your people. It is now my privilege to invite His Excellency, Dr. Ahmed Omar Mohamed, State Minister of the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change of the Federal Government of Somalia. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Bismillah. Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Federal Republic of Somalia, I thank the Secretariat of Convention on International Trade and Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora for convening this important celebration of World Wildlife Day in 2026. Medicinal and aromatic plants are central to Somalia's heritage and rural economy. For generations, our communities have rallied on traditional knowledge and native plant species for healing, nutrition, and for income. Somalia is widely known for frankincense and myrrh, produced from Boswellia and Commiphora species. These resources sustain thousands of families, especially in dryland areas where economic opportunities are limited. Yet, these species face growing pressure from overwhelming land degradation, climate stress, and unsustainable trade. The government of Somalia is strengthening biodiversity monitoring, promoting sustainable harvesting practices, supporting community stewardship, and advancing implementation of multilateral environmental agreements. Protecting medicinal and aromatic plants is not only about conserving species, it is about preserving knowledge, supporting public health, strengthening rural livelihoods, and building ecological resilience. Somalia calls for deeper international cooperation in research, technical capacity, and fair value chains so that these natural resources continue to benefit present and future generations. In conclusion, let's act together to conserve health, heritage, and livelihoods. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so very much, Minister, for your words, or especially those showing us how these plants that are used around the world for a wide diversity of religions and how you are promoting sustainable harvesting to maintain them for this and future generations. Thank you so much. It is now my privilege to invite you to watch the video message from Ms. Celia de la Verne, Director of Water and Biodiversity, Ministry of Ecological Transition and Territorial Cohesion of France.
Bonjour à toutes et à tous, chers collègues. Je voudrais d'abord vous remercier Madame Higuero, vous et l'ensemble du secrétariat de la CITES pour cette invitation à intervenir lors de cette journée mondiale de la vie sauvage, un instant clé pour nous retrouver et partager les avancées que la CITES a permis et permet encore chaque moment. La France est très attachée à la CITES car son efficacité résulte à la fois de coopération internationale et d'un caractère très opérationnel partout sur notre territoire, très concret au service de la lutte contre l'érosion de la biodiversité et de la vie sauvage. La COP20 organisée en fin d'année dernière a été une nouvelle fois la démonstration avec des décisions fortes qui bénéficieront à de nombreuses espèces et je pense notamment à la protection des requins et des raies. La France a une responsabilité particulière au regard de la richesse de la biodiversité qui est présente sur notre territoire et notamment en Outre-mer. Quelques chiffres, nous comptons près de 185 000 espèces de faune, flore, fonges et bactéries terrestres et marines sur notre territoire et 20 000 sont endémiques. Cette richesse nous oblige à une gestion raisonnée des ressources pour que leur utilisation soit durable et qu'elles puissent bénéficier aux générations futures en s'appuyant sur des connaissances et des usages traditionnels ou innovants. Notre défi sur ce sujet, comme sur plus largement l'ensemble des sujets de protection de la biodiversité, est de trouver le bon équilibre pour concilier l'utilisation de ces ressources pour répondre aux besoins de l'homme et la conservation de celles-ci dans cette optique. C'est seulement ainsi que nous pourrons valoriser ce patrimoine naturel et culturel et nous réinscrire dans une relation apaisée avec notre environnement sauvage. Ce défi est important et la France continuera son travail tant au niveau national qu'international en continuant de renforcer au niveau national la protection réglementaire de ces ressources et avec l'ensemble de nos partenaires internationaux en tant que membres désormais du comité permanent de la Convention CITES. Je vous remercie pour l'élan collectif que constitue cette journée du 3 mars qui nous renforce dans notre détermination. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Merci, Madame Lavergne. Je m'excuse. Je suis très contente que vous êtes avec nous avec sans vidéo aujourd'hui. Excusez-moi que je pense que c'est...
Le plaisir est partagé.
Merci beaucoup, merci. And thank you so much for sharing about the resources that, these natural resources that France has, not only within France, but outside of France, and all the work that you are doing to maintain these resources for this and future generations as well, and the work that you are doing globally as well, assisting other parties in CITES to make sure that everyone is using these aromatic and medicinal plants sustainably. Thank you so much. I extend my highest appreciation to you, our parties, for your thoughtful and inspiring remarks. Your perspectives have enriched today's celebration and reminded us of the significance of government leadership in conserving medicinal and aromatic plants for people and planet. We now turn to an exciting moment in our program, the Jackson Wild 2026 Film Showcase Selection Reveal. Each year, Jackson Wild celebrates extraordinary filmmakers who bring stories of conservation leadership and innovation to global audiences, helping to inspire deeper understanding and coordinated action between governments, civil society, industries, and individuals. I now warmly welcome Ms. Christy Quinn, Executive Director of Jackson Wild, to introduce this year's showcase with a video message.
Happy World Wildlife Day, everyone. A huge thank you to those of you joining us virtually today. I'm Christy Quinn, Executive Director of Jackson Wild. For over 35 years, Jackson Wild has united filmmakers, scientists, conservationists, and policymakers, harnessing the power of storytelling to drive meaningful action for our planet. As we celebrate today, I'm thrilled to highlight the 10th edition of our ongoing collaboration with the United Nations and CITES, the 2026 World Wildlife Day Film Showcase. This year's film showcase spotlights stories about the conservation, sustainable use, and cultural significance of medicinal and aromatic plants, showing the power of film to elevate frontline voices, connect people to place, and inspire action to protect our natural world. The films announced today will live online for the rest of the year, available for free educational screenings around the world, ensuring their message reaches classrooms, communities, and decision makers everywhere. Without further ado, let's dive into this year's selections.
Esta finca, esta familia y esta área, ejemplo de bienestar ambientalmente, tanto para microorganismos, aves, plantas, como para la gente. Si logramos los cafeteros aprender sobre el tema, vamos a tener una caficultura por muchísimas y muchísimas y muchísimas décadas más. Todos hacemos parte de la cadena, desde el consumidor en Nueva York, en Tokio, en donde ustedes quieran, desde esa persona hasta el que la produce, estamos unidos. Eso sí es el orgullo, realmente.
What does sandalwood mean to me? Sandalwood as a forester and as a discipline, it's a complex species that has a very mixed, complex relationship with the other trees in that environment. So they might be areas in river systems or lake systems near our plantations which have got a high degree of biodiversity, lots of different plants and animals in our plantations.
The team is in the process of setting up a new nursery with plans for a dedicated herbal garden.
இப்போ நம்மள்ட்ட ஒரு 15 ரக மூலிகை இருக்குது அப்படின்னா அதை ஒரு இடத்துல நட்டு வச்சுட்டு அதுலேருந்து நம்ம எடுத்து நம்ம நர்சரிக்கும் பயன்படுத்திக்கலாம். ஸ்கூல் குழந்தைங்களோ காலேஜ் குழந்தைங்களோ உள்ளே வர்றப்ப அவங்களுக்கு வந்து என்னென்னா இந்த செடியை பற்றி சொல்கிறதுக்காகவோ ஒரு மதர் பிளான்ட் ஒரு மூலிகை கார்டன் உருவாக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறது என்னோட ஆசை.
Bharatidasan and Kavita continue on a path they chose over 20 years ago, exploring and protecting native and medicinal plants by leaving enough for nature and our future.
உலகத்தில் வந்து நம்ம சுவாசிக்கணும்னாலும் உணவுனாலும் செடி வேணும், இயற்கை வேணும். அதனால வந்து எனக்கு அதுலேருந்து எந்த வருத்தமும் கிடையாது. நான் சந்தோஷமாக தான் இந்த வேலையை செஞ்சுட்டு இருக்கேன்.
Plants are natural medicine makers. When plants are attacked by pests or parasites, they produce chemical compounds to defend themselves. And amazingly, some of these compounds have the power to heal the animals that eat them, including us. Many of the pharmaceuticals prescribed to us by doctors today are actually derived from or inspired by these botanical compounds. Our great ape cousins have also figured this out. We've known now for decades that sick chimpanzees seek out medicinal plants. But we still know very little about which plants they actually use. And in the Badongo forest, these medicinal mysteries have remained completely unexplored.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn and Jackson Wild, and congratulations to the 2026 Film Showcase selected filmmakers for these wonderful films. We now move to our next segment, Stakeholder Stories from along the medicinal and aromatic plant value chain. In this part of the program, we will hear firsthand perspectives from those working directly along the value chain of medicinal or aromatic plants, from harvesters and producers to researchers and community representatives. I now hand over to the moderator of this discussion, Ms. Anastasia Timoshina, Director of the European Program Office at Traffic and co-chair of the IUCN Species Survival Commission Medicinal Plant Specialist Group.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator.
It's a pleasure to join you and to help guide this segment, especially with such a distinguished panel of experts. Like everyone else here on the call and watching us online, I have a lot of first-hand and personal connection to medicinal and aromatic plants, from harvesting them as a child with my grandmother to drinking herbal tea containing wild licorice root earlier today. But today we take a closer look at the medicinal and aromatic plant value chain, which is a complex network stretching from harvesters and local communities to traders, regulators, researchers, and end market consumers. In this session, we'll bring together voices and experiences. Can you hear me? I hear the message.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. So in this session, we bring together the voices and experiences of stakeholders working at different points along this chain. And their stories illustrate how sustainable management, sound policies, scientific knowledge, and meaningful community engagement can shape positive and lasting outcomes. We have 5 very exciting small presentations, and without further ado, I'll first invite on this journey Ms. Emma Williams, who will speak about medicinal plant trade in the United Kingdom and providing insights into national trends, regulatory approaches, and the role of science in informing sustainable use. Ms. Williams, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation to speak today, and I'll be sharing a stakeholder story as a CITES importing party. So my name is Emma Williams. I'm part of the CITES policy team at the Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew, in the United Kingdom. So Kew has been the UK scientific authority for flora for 50 years, ever since the UK joined CITES in 1976. So Kew is a world-famous botanic garden, but we also have many scientists working on research projects on medicinal and useful plants, and we have many medicinal plants in our living collections in the gardens and samples in our herbarium and economic botany collections. Next slide, please. So the UK is primarily an importing country for CITES-listed medicinal plants, with herbal and pharmaceutical medicines and supplements sold in our high street shops, our chemists, by herbalists, and online marketplaces. Many medicines are imported into the UK as finished products, but raw ingredients and extracts are also imported from across the world to be manufactured into finished products by UK companies. So here's a selection of some of the most common imports that we see for CITES-listed medicinal plants. So we have Aloe ferox, Rhodiola rosea, Saussurea costus, Panax quinquefolius, Gastrodiolata, and Nardistachys jatamansi. Next slide, please. So as an importing CITES party for medicinal plants, we feel responsible to ensure any medicinal plants imported into the UK are legally and sustainably sourced. The UK has stricter domestic measures for CITES imports, which means we write a non-detriment finding, otherwise known as an NDF, and issue import permits for Appendix 2 species. We follow the 9-step guidance for our NDFs for perennial plants, and we gather information for wild harvested plants from a variety of sources, including IUCN red list assessments, species distributions, trade patterns, species biology, population information, harvest and management plans, national legislation, and the NDFs produced by the exporting countries. We want to ensure that wild medicinal plants have been harvested sustainably, with management plans in place to ensure enough time for regeneration. For medicinal plants grown in cultivation, we check that the plants are grown in established nurseries and the parental stock was legally sourced. From this research, we can be confident that CITES-listed medicinal plants being imported will not become at risk of extinction from overharvesting. The next slide, please. So as we know, medicinal plant species are used across the world, and each species can be known by a large variety of common and trade names. For example, Nardistachys jatamansi, which we heard about earlier today, has one accepted scientific name, but it also has 9 other scientific names known as synonyms. And Kew has recorded 257 common or trade names used just for this species from a variety of languages, for example, spikenard.
But we can also have the opposite, with one common name can refer to many different species. For example, the word ginseng can refer to 26 different species. So to ensure we know what plants and products are being traded and used by consumers, it's important to know exactly what species they are and to use the correct scientific name. This is particularly important for medicinal plants, where the efficiency and toxicity can be species-specific, and it could be dangerous for human health to use the wrong plant species. So at Kew, we have the Medicinal Plant Name Service, which is a free online database, bringing together data from 422 sources. And it links pharmaceutical and trade names with species names. So there are over 1 million records of 41,000 medicinal plants in the database, with images now available for many species. So we encourage you to use the database and have a look for your research and trade to ensure you understand the full range of common and trade names and to see the accepted species names. So the website address is on this slide. So thank you for allowing me to speak today, and I wish everyone a happy World Wildlife Day.
Thank you very much, Emma, for this valuable presentation and all the work at Kew. We now will move to a very different perspective, a first-hand experience from the Amazon. We will watch a video message from Ms. Neida Andi Arimua, a Quechua Indigenous spiritual guide from Amazonia and Ecuador, who will share her community's relationship with Guayusa and its cultural and spiritual significance.
Selva y Guayusa, relación, memoria y vida. Reciba un cordial saludo desde la Amazonía ecuatoriana, un territorio donde la selva no es paisaje, sino madre. No es recurso, sino vida. Nuestra relación con la espiritualidad, la flora y la fauna, no es una religión. Es una relación viva y directa. La selva es nuestro hábitat sagrado, nuestro centro de aprendizaje y nuestro equilibrio. La entendemos como una biblioteca viva, donde cada planta, cada animal guarda conocimiento. Allí practicamos el buen sentir, el buen pensar, el buen hacer y el buen vivir. Para nosotros, las plantas medicinales tienen vida, espíritu y sabiduría. La salud no es solamente la ausencia de enfermedad, es el equilibrio entre el ser humano, la naturaleza y el mundo espiritual. Dentro de este universo de conocimiento ancestral, la guayusa ocupa un lugar especial. La guayusa no es solamente una bebida tradicional, es nuestra maestra. Desde tiempos antiguos forma parte de nuestra vida cotidiana y espiritual. Antes del amanecer, las familias se reúnen para compartir su infusión. Este momento es sagrado. Se comparten los sueños, se orienta a los jóvenes, se fortalece la unión familiar. La guayusa activa el cuerpo, ordena el pensamiento y armoniza el espíritu. Su conocimiento ha sido transmitido por nuestras abuelas y abuelos. Es un patrimonio vivo, guardado en las memorias colectivas, en la práctica diaria. Hoy, este patrimonio enfrenta amenazas como la deforestación, el cambio climático, la pérdida de territorios y la minería ilegal. Cuando se pierde un bosque o una selva, no se pierde solo la biodiversidad, se pierde historia, identidad y espiritualidad. Al mismo tiempo, la guayusa representa una oportunidad para medios de subsistencia sostenibles. Cultivada en sistemas agroforestales, puede generar ingresos sin destruir el territorio. Esto demuestra que conservación y desarrollo no son opuestos. El conocimiento tradicional guía el manejo de las plantas. La guayusa nos enseña una lección profunda. La salud humana depende de la salud del bosque o la selva. Proteger la Guayusa es proteger la memoria. Proteger la selva es proteger la vida. Desde la Amazonía ecuatoriana compartimos este mensaje con respeto y esperanza. Muchas gracias.
What an amazing experience and privilege to learn about Guayusa directly from the community that has safeguarded this knowledge for generations. And in a very similar spirit, we're going to move geography now. Our next speaker is His Majesty Yvonne Bruno, who will offer insights from the African Network of Traditional Leaders for Environmental Conservation, RECTRAD. We will hear about RECTRAD's experience working with 7 different species in Cameroon, including Prunus africana, Alan Blackier, Mondia vitae, among others, and their efforts to promote sustainability and community benefits. Your Majesty, over to you.
Merci beaucoup. Je voudrais, dès l'entame de mon propos, dire merci à tous ceux qui nous ont permis d'être là. À travers notre participation, c'est l'Afrique entière dans sa racine qui dit merci et qui bénit cet événement. Nous allons présenter cette espèce du Cameroun, qui est un pays qui a une richesse, une biodiversité exceptionnelle. 4e rang africain en ce qui concerne la flore et 5e rang en travers ce qui concerne la faune. Nous présentons cette espèce à savoir le Prunus africanum, qui est utile pour les plantes médicinales, qui soignent la prostate et plusieurs autres inflammations, et la Lamblacia species, qui est aussi utile en plantes médicinales, dans l'aromatique et surtout dans le cosmétique. Et nous allons aller plus loin avec le yoimbe, qui a la yoimbicine, qui permet justement de soigner la prostate et plusieurs impotences et autres maladies. C'est la même chose pour l'Ivingia gabonensis et au Mbulu, qui est considéré comme le slim food du Cameroun et même du monde, et qui est traité ici dans le cosmétique, qui est utilisé aussi dans les plantes médicinales, comme plante médicinale dans plusieurs diarrhées et autres maladies, et aujourd'hui beaucoup plus avec le cosmétique. Nous sommes allés plus loin avec le Tetraptera, qui est utilisé avec son parfum dans le cosmétique et comme arôme. Et nous avons l'Echinops gigantus, qui est utilisé comme plante médicinale, comme arôme au niveau du cosmétique et comme justement utilisé aussi pour l'alimentaire. Et nous avons achevé avec le Mundia whitey, qui est une plante exceptionnelle, dont les racines exceptionnelles sont utilisées pour le cosmétique comme plante médicinale aussi. Pourquoi nous le présentons? Parce que le Cameroun a plusieurs atouts. Nous l'avons dit tantôt, très riche en biodiversité à travers des milliers d'espèces, tant végétales que animales. Nous avons un bon dispositif légal et réglementaire au Cameroun actuel, mais beaucoup plus nous voulons mentionner qu'avec l'arrivée du protocole de Nagoya sur APA, le Cameroun est allé plus loin. Ce n'est plus le biocommerce, c'est le commerce de la ressource génétique, c'est-à-dire la ressource biologique transformée dans les laboratoires, qui permet aujourd'hui de donner une plus-value à la ressource biologique, au plan médicinal et autres, dans les communautés qui donnent plus de considération à cela, ainsi que tous les acteurs qui sont mobilisés pour aller plus loin dans l'exploitation des plantes médicinales et les plantes aromatiques. Nous avons plusieurs succès aujourd'hui. Plusieurs contrats sont signés pour le développement des plantes aromatiques et médicinales avec des grandes firmes internationales comme Firmenich, comme Manifis, qui sont les premiers dans le monde, premiers en Europe, premiers en France. Nous avons plusieurs demandes d'utilisation de différents produits biologiques aujourd'hui, plusieurs bénéfices matériels, monétaires et non monétaires qui sont exploités, tels que les enfants des communautés qui sont en train d'apprendre comme cela se fait dans le laboratoire d'expertise. Nous avons l'accompagnement au respect des thèmes contractuels, ainsi que représentants de chaque partie prenante dans ce qu'on appelle le comité national APA, ainsi que plusieurs formations au Cameroun et ailleurs. Tous les défis aujourd'hui restent au niveau de la professionnalisation des différents acteurs, au niveau du développement des différentes chaînes de valeur, tant au niveau local avec les produits locaux, au niveau de la transformation réelle à travers une technologie poussée. Et nous souhaitons justement avoir un code éthique, un annuaire des savants, un annuaire des savoirs traditionnels, ainsi que de la recherche de proximité qui est faite dans nos communautés et une banque de données. Car en fait, sans banque de données, il sera difficile de mobiliser les acteurs ainsi que les différents produits et sous-produits. Nous appelons à l'action justement pour qu'on puisse mettre en place un déploiement local à partir des communautés avec une technologie de pointe. Nous voulons développer justement, animer davantage la chaîne de valeur à partir des communautés, organiser la professionnalisation de la chaîne de valeur segment par segment. Nous souhaitons aussi encadrer tout le processus qui est fait à la fin, qui est fait dans la dynamique, ainsi que la conservation locale telle que l'exige le protocole de Nagoya. Nous souhaitons avoir une banque de données de la ressource biologique et des produits de la recherche en tant que ressources génétiques. Nous souhaitons promouvoir les protocoles bioculturels communautaires qui permettront de savoir ce que la communauté a en termes de ressources et comment on peut aller vers cette communauté pour négocier et entrer en possession de ces ressources biologiques et ces différentes plantes aromatiques et médicinales. Nous souhaitons organiser chaque groupe d'acteurs, Stakeholder, comme ça se dit en anglais, et nous souhaitons justement développer le professionnalisme, renforcer davantage ce qu'il y a de faisable dans toutes les communautés et pour que davantage les connaissances traditionnelles puissent avoir pion sur rue, puissent davantage orienter la recherche. À travers cette présentation, à travers cette journée, nous faisons un appel pour que davantage les savoirs traditionnels, combien à la ressource biologique et à toutes les ressources que nous avons dans notre communauté, prenant l'axe des plantes aromatiques et médicinales, que nous puissions avoir un développement endogène qui se base sur les savoirs traditionnels et qui développe davantage l'Afrique à partir des communautés. Voilà ce que nous avions à vous dire ce soir, en disant 1000 fois merci et bien des choses à tout le monde.
Thank you very much, Your Majesty Mondo, and many thanks for this essential elements of what makes the conservation of medicinal and aromatic plants a success, including the governance issues, technological issues, tenure issues, and so much more. It is my pleasure now to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Elisa Aragon, who is a co-founder of Nelixia, Paraguay. And this takes us to a very different part of the supply chain. And Elisa will share a story of one tree and one forest that challenges how we think about conservation and trade. Her intervention focuses on Guaiacwood oil, a historic ingredient in perfumery, and the innovative work being done to ensure its sustainable and traceable production. Over to you, Elisa.
Thank you very much, Anastasia, and thank you for the invitation today. So my name is Elisa, I'm the co-founder of Nelixia, and today I like to share the story of one tree and one forest that challenge how we think about conservation and trade. So Guaiacwood oil is a historic ingredient in perfumery. If we can please move to the next slide, thank you. So it has been used for decades for its deep, smoky notes and appears in many iconic fragrances. But Guaiacwood Pulnesia sarmentoi grows only in one place on Earth, the Gran Chaco, a vast dry forest in South America. If we can move to the next one too. Thank you. So the Gran Chaco is the second largest forest ecosystem in Latin America after the Amazon. It hosts extraordinary biodiversity, thousands of plant species, and emblematic wildlife such as jaguars and giant amphitheaters. And yet, it is also one of the fastest deforesting regions in the world. In Paraguay, deforestation is still legal and state-approved, mainly for cattle ranching, soy, and cotton. This puts immense pressures on native forests and on species like Guaiacwood. This is why Guaiacwood is listed under CITES Appendix 2, meaning a species that is not necessarily threatened with extinction, but whose trade must be regulated to avoid unsustainable use. But here is something essential to understand. Guaiacwood cannot be replanted. It grows only in very specific saline soils. It does not regenerate from seeds, but from its roots. Guaiacwood tree grows in clusters, interconnected underground, almost like a living network. So the question becomes, if we cannot reforest, how do we conserve this species? So at Nelixia, our answer was sustainable forest management. If we can move to the other slide, please. So today we manage 5,000 hectares of native Chaco forest, nearly the size of Manhattan, under a long-term CITES-compliant management plan. The forest is divided into parcels, meaning that parcel 1 is harvest year 1, parcel 2 year 2, and so on until we return parcel 1 20 years later. In each hectare, we selectively harvest only 5 mature trees, meaning that the harvest is 5 trees every 20 years. So we avoid seed trees and nesting areas, and we always preserve the root system. When we return to the same parcels 20 years later, those trees have regenerated naturally. This approach does something very powerful. It gives economic value to a standing forest. When forests generate long-term legal income, they become more valuable alive than cleared. And in regions like the Chaco, that can make the difference between conservation and destruction. This model is not reforestation. It is not a trade ban. It is a hybrid model where sustainable use becomes a tool for conservation and where responsibility is shared across the entire value chain. Guaiacwood shows us that CITES Appendix 2 is not only a safeguard, but a framework that can enable innovation, long-term vision, and forest protection. Conservation is not achieved by excluding trade, but by transforming it. In some ecosystems, responsible trade is the only reason forests can remain standing. Thank you.
Elisa, thank you so much. The perspective that businesses have on these supply chains are so valuable if we ever to make these value chains truly sustainable and transparent. So thanks so much. And in the same vein, but moving slightly the geography, but also the scope and the place in the supply chain, I would like to invite Ms. Jamie Horst, who is a Chief Purpose Officer in Traditional Medicinals from the United States of America, to speak. Traditional Medicinals is a major company sourcing medicinal plants globally, and Jamie will reflect on how responsible sourcing, fair partnerships, and corporate leadership support sustainability across the value chain. Jamie, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here with all of you today. Over 50 years ago, Traditional Medicinals became the first U.S. manufacturer to market organic herbal products and is now the second largest bagged tea brand in the United States. Each year, we purchase over 1,500 metric tons of organic and fair-traded herbs, over 100 different plants in total. About 2/3 of those plants come from organic cultivation, and 1/3 are harvested in the wild. Regardless of where the material is grown, we are committed to ethical and transparent partnerships. Our mission since 1974 has been twofold. Number one, to educate people about medicinal plants, their uses and where they come from. And number two, to support those people and lands that make our products possible. Next slide, please. Here are some images of some of the wild collected medicinal plants used in our products. None are listed in CITES Appendix 1 or 2. These wild harvested herbs are sourced from about 15 countries, and in most cases, those sourcing relationships are many decades old. If we could go to slide 3. I could speak to you at length, one more, thank you, about the many projects we've done in these regions, mostly focused on supporting rural livelihoods and community empowerment. We are very proud of our partnership with the Fairwild Foundation, which extends back to their inception. We were the first U.S. manufacturer to obtain Fairwild certification and to market our products under that label back in 2009. Next slide. But if I were to share a more challenging story that is still developing, it would be that in the 1990s, Traditional Medicinals launched a product that contained pau d'arco, a medicinal tree bark sourced from Brazil. At the time, secrecy and a lack of transparency were considered normal in the herbal sector, maybe still too normal today. TM insisted that the supplier provide access to the source, and we eventually learned that the bark was a lumber mill byproduct without traceability and with no possibility of sustainability verification. Based on that information, we moved to Peru, where a new supplier was identified, a family-owned business sourcing bark from a community in the Peruvian Amazon, one that had implemented a sustainable forest management plan with good documentation. TM provided technical and financial support to that operation to help cover the cost of implementing sustainability standards and to defray the cost of independent third-party verification and certification fees. That bark is now being considered for addition to the CITES 2 list. Based on that and other internal information, we've made the decision to discontinue the product. Recognizing this commercial decision will have a detrimental impact on their business, we continue to hold meetings with our long-term partners in Peru to engage in an ethical transition and to support other aspects of their livelihoods. In conclusion, I offer several calls to action. to consumers to get familiar with the labels on the packaging of the products that you buy. They represent hard work by many people, often in very remote regions, who are actively working to support the health of this planet. To business leaders, be curious about your supply chains. Learn about each ingredient's origins, the traditional ecological knowledge required for ethical production, and the people who make their living harvesting and processing the ingredients that you need, and then find ways of ensuring traceable and just trade. And to those of you representing other sectors here today, know that there remain companies eager to partner to find solutions that can support the health of people, flora, fauna, waters, and air, and to drive economic value closer to those communities and the people who choose to remain in their traditional homelands, especially the next generation of steward leaders. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jamie. And thank you to all the speakers for this fascinating and diverse perspectives. We have seen that sustainability in the long term for medicinal and aromatic plants requires informed policies and good information and data understanding what we call medicinal and aromatic plant, empowered communities, responsible business models, and a shared commitment to conserve the species and ecosystems on which we all depend. Together, these experiences show how collaboration across the value chain can support both biodiversity conservation and sustainable livelihood. Happy World Wildlife Day.
Thank you so much to our great moderator, Ms. Timoshina, and all panelists for this engaging and insightful session. Your powerful stories highlight the ongoing efforts to both ensure the sustainability and legality of the trade in medicinal and aromatic plants and their survival in the wild for the benefit of today's and future generations. We now move to the final artistic segment of today's celebration, the announcement of the winners and finalists of the 2026 World Wildlife Day International Youth Art Contest, organized by the International Fund for Animal Welfare, or IFAW.
Hello, everyone. Every year, I am deeply inspired by the breathtaking talent of these young artists and thankful that they choose to share their reverence for the natural world and deep messages of hope through their art. World Wildlife Day 2026 marks the 8th year of this wonderful partnership, for which we thank the CITES Secretariat and colleagues at UNDP. Over that time, the contest has grown from about 400 entries from 19 countries to another record-setting year of more than 4,000 entries representing 100 different countries and sovereign areas around the world. For me, the art contest and its ever-growing participation are a poignant reminder that so many families around the globe continue to care so deeply about animals and wildlife conservation. And bringing people around the world together for a shared cause, such as conserving the world's wildlife, can produce some truly amazing outcomes. This year's theme, Medicinal and Aromatic Plants Conserving Health, Heritage, and Livelihoods, celebrates the diverse flora of countries and ecosystems around the globe. Not only do plants produce the very oxygen that we breathe, but they also purify and cleanse our water, provide food and nutrients for wildlife and people, and can even unlock the secrets to curing human ailments and diseases. For this year's contest, we asked artists to portray threatened or endangered animals in healthy habitats, with plants being a prominent element in their artwork. We received images of elephants, hornbills, manatees, insects, and thousands of other animals from land to sea, reminding us of the intricate web of life on which we all depend. The decision, as always, was incredibly difficult. Having said that, it's my pleasure to announce that the winner of this year's International Youth Art Contest, Jia Yu from South Korea, depicting the lush jungle scene, including elephants visible in the forest. Congratulations, Jia. I'll pass it to Jia to close us out on this year's World Wildlife Day International Youth Art Contest. Wishing you and all a wonderful event and World Wildlife Day.
My name is Jia Yu from Seoul, South Korea. I was really excited when I first got the news that I'm the winner of this competition. I personally love animals so much because I'm the owner of dogs. I started making art at 2024. I was probably 14 years old. Art makes me focus on one matter for a long time. I can forget all of my worries. I also love the feeling of being productive. I look for the medicinal plants that look really unique, and turmeric really got into my mind. So I researched for other plants and animals, which can also be in my artwork, and after the process of researching, I just started drawing it. I strongly believe that by harmonizing with nature, we can live a fulfilling and entertaining life. We should preserve this nature for our future generation, and to do so, each individual's action is really, really important.
Thanks to Mr. Azzedine Downs, President and CEO of IFAW, for their continuous support to World Wildlife Day with the art contest. And congratulations to Ms. Jia Ju of South Korea for her painting of the Asian elephant and turmeric plant, and to all the contest finalists. It is truly inspiring to see how young people can use creativity to unite us across cultures and generations in our common goal to conserve our natural heritage. Pasamos ahora a la parte final del programa. Reflexiones sobre las ideas y compromisos esenciales que han surgido a lo largo de la celebración del Día Mundial de la Vida Silvestre hoy. Para comenzar, tengo el gran honor de invitar a mi amiga, a la doctora Gretel Aguilar, directora general de la Unión Internacional para la Conservación de la Naturaleza y los Recursos Naturales, a compartir sus conclusiones. Doctora Aguilar, por favor, tome la palabra.
Muchísimas gracias y muy buenas tardes, muy buenos días, buenas noches a quienes están conectados, distinguidos ponentes, colegas, mi amiga secretaria general de CITES, Ivonne Higuero, amigos y amigas todos. Es un honor para mí acompañarles hoy y ofrecer algunas reflexiones al concluir la celebración de este Día Mundial de la Vida Silvestre. Quisiera agradecer a las organizaciones y socios por reunir un programa tan rico e inspirador y reconocer a los numerosos expertos mundiales que han compartido sus conocimientos, experiencias e historias desde todas las regiones del mundo. A lo largo de las discusiones de hoy hemos recorrido paisajes y culturas a través de la extraordinaria diversidad de las plantas medicinales y aromáticas. Hemos aprendido sobre especies que sanan, sostienen tradiciones, apoyan medios de vida y conectan profundamente a las personas con la naturaleza. Las conversaciones han dejado un mensaje inequívoco. Conservar las plantas medicinales y aromáticas significa, en esencia, conservar la salud, el patrimonio y el bienestar humano. Estas especies sustentan sistemas de salud para miles de millones de personas y preservan conocimientos culturales transmitidos de generación en generación. Al mismo tiempo enfrentan presiones crecientes derivadas de la pérdida de hábitat, la sobreexplotación, el cambio climático y el comercio insostenible. Su conservación se sitúa, por tanto, en la interrelación entre la protección de la biodiversidad, el desarrollo sostenible y la salud global. Una conclusión central de este evento es el papel indispensable de la ciencia para orientar la conservación y el uso sostenible, incluido aquí también la importancia del conocimiento tradicional que hemos escuchado a través de las diferentes presentaciones. CITES desempeña un papel fundamental para garantizar que el comercio internacional de la vida silvestre, incluidas las especies de plantas medicinales y aromáticas, sea legal, sostenible y trazable. En la UICN, la Unión Internacional para la Conservación de la Naturaleza, nos honra apoyar este importante trabajo mediante el conocimiento científico y basado en datos proporcionados por la lista roja de especies amenazadas de la UICN y por los expertos de la Comisión de Supervivencia de Especies, en particular el grupo de especialistas en plantas medicinales, cuyas evaluaciones contribuyen a fundamentar decisiones basadas en evidencia por parte de los gobiernos de todo el mundo. La evidencia generada por los expertos de la UICN apoya a las partes de CITES en la toma de decisiones críticas sobre la inclusión de especies, la realización de dictámenes de extracción no perjudicial y el establecimiento de marcos sostenibles para la cosecha y comercio. En un mundo sometido a crecientes presiones ambientales, las políticas basadas en ciencia son esenciales para garantizar que el uso no se convierta en pérdida. Un mensaje clave que deseo destacar es que las soluciones deben de ir más allá de la conservación por sí sola. Garantizar la sostenibilidad requiere colaboración a lo largo de toda la cadena de valor, desde los recolectores locales y los poseedores de conocimientos indígenas hasta los investigadores, responsables políticos, comerciantes y consumidores. Todos tenemos un papel que desempeñar para equilibrar el uso con responsabilidad y custodiar la naturaleza. Los pueblos indígenas y las comunidades locales se encuentran en el centro de este esfuerzo. Sus conocimientos tradicionales, prácticas culturales y su histórica labor de custodia de la biodiversidad son indispensables para la conservación y el uso sostenible de las plantas medicinales. En muchas de sus tierras se encuentran estas plantas medicinales. Respetar sus derechos, reconocer sus sistemas de conocimiento y promover una participación equitativa son condiciones esenciales para el éxito de la conservación. A medida que la demanda mundial de los productos naturales continúa creciendo, el desafío que tenemos ante nosotros es claro. Debemos transformar la manera en que valoramos la naturaleza, avanzando hacia sistemas sostenibles, inclusivos y positivos para la naturaleza. Que este Día Mundial de la Vida Silvestre nos inspire con las historias que hemos escuchado y nos impulse a reforzar la colaboración, la acción basada en la ciencia y en el conocimiento tradicional y la responsabilidad compartida. Trabajamos juntos a través de sectores, fronteras, y así podremos garantizar que las plantas medicinales y aromáticas sigan apoyando la salud, el patrimonio y los medios de vida de las generaciones presentes y futuras. Muchas gracias, Secretaria General, muchas gracias a los ponentes y muchas gracias a quienes están escuchando.
Muchas gracias, señora Directora General, por su impactante mensaje, subrayando la importancia de estas plantas para el planeta y para los seres humanos, especialmente con respecto a nuestra salud. y especialmente la necesidad de respetar a los pueblos indígenas y su conocimiento. Gracias también por el liderazgo continuo de la UICN en la conservación del medio ambiente en todas partes del mundo y su partnership, su sociedad con nosotros. Muchas gracias. I now invite Mr. Richard Scobie, Executive Director of Traffic, also my dear friend, to share his takeaway message. Mr. Scobie, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Yvonne. It's always hard to come after my good friend, Gretel, because she so beautifully captures the key issues and messages. What a remarkable and diverse 2-hour journey we've just gone through to learn more about medicinal and aromatic plants. We kicked off by Chris Blake, the chair of the CITES Standing Committee, reminding us about plant blindness, something he discovered when he was an undergraduate in his studies. Then we heard the ambassador of Mexico to the UN in Geneva tell the powerful story of Candelilla as a source of livelihood and income for poor communities in Mexico. Then Inger Andersen, the executive director of UNEP, stressed a critical message that was repeated over and over in subsequent presentations. We need to use species sustainably, but wisely, with a strong focus on fair and equitable benefit sharing. Francine Pickup from UNDP picked up the message of the critical role of medicinal and aromatic plants in economic development, in job creation, and boosting livelihoods of rural communities. Then we heard a beautiful story from Helen Wilson about the cancer treatment that she received using an ingredient that had grown once in her childhood garden. And then she gave us a stunning plant-derived music, which I think was probably the first time for many of us to experience that. Then there were lightning talks on 4 specific species involved in trade of maps: chamomile, frankincense, Jatamansi, and Candelilla again. We also heard very important statements from the floor from Lao PDR, Somalia, and France, which demonstrated the strong public government commitment to sustainable management of use of medicinal and aromatic products in their countries. We saw an amazing series of clips of the Jackson Wild Film Showcase, which for me, along with the amazing IFAW youth artists, are always a highlight of World Wildlife Day. And then we had very important stories from different players and actors and perspectives in the map value chain. Taking it all together, we've heard clearly that sustainable trade of medicinal and aromatic plants can deliver real and lasting change for communities and ecosystems around the world. There's no question that we are living in disruptive times. So now more than ever, we need to work together to make trade work for people and the planet. And we've heard remarkable, powerful stories over the past 2 hours on the critical role of medicinal and aromatic plants in conserving health, heritage, and livelihoods. So I want to end by urging all of us to commit to deepening our collaboration with each other and accelerating our investments and our actions on the ground to protect these botanical treasures for today, tomorrow, and for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rick, for this wonderful summary that has been very helpful for all of us and sharing with us your insights. Thank you also for your partnership with CITES and leadership in Traffic's contributions to research and awareness raising related to the conservation and sustainable use of wild harvested plants for medicinal and aromatic purposes. It's great to see you. Thank you. Now, dear guests, our 2026 celebration of World Wildlife Day draws to a close. I would like to once again thank the distinguished delegates of CITES parties, observers, all of the high-level participants at the beginning, the chair of the CITES Standing Committee, UNEP Executive Director, our dear ambassador from Mexico, and all the interested participants who have gathered together online. I would also like to thank the partners, UNDP, IFAW, Jackson Wild, Traffic, the IUCN Species Survival Commission, Medicinal Plant Specialist Group, and of course, the Geneva Environment Network for their contributions and their team spirit in making this event possible. I would also like to thank the interpreters for making it possible for our event to be understood in English, French, and Spanish. Finally, my sincere thanks to all our valuable speakers who are at the forefront of wildlife conservation research, policy making, and sustainable use. You have shown us the importance of working together as governments, indigenous peoples, local communities, civil society, NGOs, private industry, and youth. We all have a role to play in ensuring the survival of wild medicinal and aromatic plants. And I cannot end without saying thank you to my wonderful team for pulling this all together every year. Such hard work. You do a wonderful job. Thank you so much. It's well appreciated. Before we conclude, we are delighted to announce the launch of a brand new 5-minute film from the series CITES and Livelihoods, Sustainable Trade of Jatamansi in Nepal. This has been produced by Traffic and the IUCN Species Survival Commission's Medicinal Plant Specialist Group. This film highlights how sustainable trade can support both conservation and community livelihoods. We are pleased to invite you to watch it now at the closings. Happy World Wildlife Day 2026 to all of you. Thank you.
हाम्रो वैद्यालय समुदाय वन र उपभोक्ता सम्बन्धको सहकारी के छ हाम्रो ठुलो सम्बन्ध जडीबुटी घाँस दाउरा उपभोग गर्न पाएका छन् यहाँका जनताले ठुलो लाभ मिलेको छ यो सम्बन्ध ठुलो गाँसिएको छ हाम्रो
चिसोबाट तातो पुनि गएको छ यसले हामी हाम्रो बुवा बाजेको पालाभन्दा अझ अगाडिदेखिको यो प्रयोग भइरहेको छ चिज हो
मैले खाएको पोहोरका सालमा ज्वरो आएर तातो पानी पखाएर बाहिरबाट जुस खुलाएर त्यसलाई थिचेर जरीभित्र ज्वरो थिचेर पखाएर खानेखेरि
फाइदा त थुप्रै फाइदा छ अब यही जीविकोपार्जन जडीबुटीबाट छ हाम्रो यहाँको
जडीबुटीको जोगाङ भनेपछि हामी यो छचुरी स्कुल पढाउन पाउँछु टाला कपडा लत्तो पाउँछु
The local people, they have been using the medicinal plants for even their food, even on daily basis. But now the CITES has provided the big opportunity so that they can get premium price by international trade. Nepal is credited as the pioneer in the community forest program. The community forestry, the local people are given the authority to manage their forest area.
वन जगाउनको लागि हामीहरुको लागि फाइदा हो फूल फुलेको सबै झरेको हुन्छ त्यो बिरुवाको सब झरेको त्यो बिउ उत्पादन भइरहेको हुन्छ त्यो अनि गलेको त्यो सरेको अनि त्यो खन्छौं हामी त्यो खनेपछि अनि त्यो आउँछ त्यो फुलेको बोट अनि पछि अर्को साल अनि उम्रिहाल्छ
पहिला जथाभावी खन्ने गरिन्थ्यो त्यति बेला अब कम पाइन्थ्यो अब नियमबद्ध तरिकाले जाँदाखेरि प्लट अनुसार खन्दाखेरि अहिले जो बडी पाइन्छ र कम समय र कम मिनेट लाग्छ
अनि त्यहाँदेखि जो फुल फुलाला त्यो फुल अब झर्यो भनेपछि अनि हामीले कुर्छौं
त्यो संरक्षण गर्नलाई हामीले गस्ती पनि बेला बेलामा संरक्षणको लागि गस्ती पठाउँछौं र त्यहाँ चौकीदारहरू पनि हुन्छन् बेला बेलामा संरक्षण हुन्छ 2 हप्ता 3 हप्ताको लागि हामीले टाइम लिन्छौं त्यसपछि चाहिँ संकलन गरिसकेपछि जडीबुटी त्यो जटामासी कोरेर नै अनि
कम छ है गाह्रो ठन्डी धेरै चिसो फैलिएको छ सर न तालिम अस्ति तालिम दिएछ नि यो भाग कोर्नु हैन के ए हो अनि यो भाग राख्नु पर्छ
We work with the Management Authority, the National Management Authority, to set up the traceability system and to make sure that the CITES trade of this medicinal and aromatic plants fulfill the legal requirement and also provide economic incentive to the local community.
CITES regulations have helped to conserve medicinal and aromatic plants because it forces people to look at a system that they may not be accustomed to looking into. The outcome of that is that we're helping to ensure that these communities that rely on these species for their health and for their income will continue to have that as a resource in the future.
यसै गरी औषधि मूल्य पाएका छौँ ज्यान शक्ति जोगाएका छौँ अनि यस्तै गरी खान लाउन पाएका छौँ.
This is how we conserve health, heritage and livelihood.
यसै गरी औषधि मूल्य पाएका छौँ ज्ञान परम्परा संस्कृति बचाएका छौँ दुई छाक टारेको छु